How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTC Reaper. My goal on the channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading whether the price is going up or down. North Carolina reps suggest adding Bitcoin and gold to state treasury. They're doing this to bolster the state's coffers. They passed a bill on Wednesday through the House of Representatives that would add Bitcoin and precious metals to the reserves. It'll be a study, so they'll probably start with a small amount. If it's passed, then it would go to the Senate and then go to the Governor Roy Cooper to be signed into law if he approves. A lot of folks in the cryptocurrency world, as well as the precious metal world, know that the US government is constantly devaluating our currency. So everyone knows that they're purposely causing inflation and us to lose money, but some people are starting to do something. Bitcoin ETF race, ARK amends SEC filing to match BlackRock's. So ARK has added a custody holder, kind of like BlackRock, but they haven't really announced who their spot Bitcoin ETF holder would be in this agreement. So there's no really knowledge on who, but this does set them up to be number one in the listing, as they filed in April, and BlackRock just filed a few weeks ago. So they have a 2-month lead on BlackRock. So if this does help them, then they would likely get approved first. Germany's BaFin rejects Binance crypto custody license. BaFin, the German financial regulatory authority, is responsible for overseeing the banks, financial services institutions, insurance companies, and securities exchanges, told Binance that they decided not to grant them a crypto custody license. So they've been rejected in multiple areas. Binance hasn't confirmed or denied the report, saying that while the exchange is unable to share details of conversations with regulators, it continues to meet the requirements. And the bank wasn't able to comment either. Binance loses European banking partner PaySafe, so another bad move for Binance. They just lost like the AUD and the US dollar ramps, so they're losing ramps everywhere. So I take that as a hint. Binance is on the lookout for new European banking partner after PaySafe Payment Solutions announced that it would withdraw support for the exchange. Following a strategic review, we have taken the decision to cease offering our embedded wallet solution to Binance across the EEA region, says PaySafe. PaySafe and Binance are now working to mutually implement an orderly and fair process to terminate the service over the next few months. Binance confirmed the development, saying that PaySafe will no longer be providing EUR deposits and withdrawals via bank transfer to Binance users from September 25th, 2023. So anyone in the EU better get their money off by then. So over on our total market cap, we kind of want to push a little bit on the daily, not very strongly though. Stochastic's still coming down, RSI is trying to point up. Stochastic is in the bullish territory still, so we do still have bullish momentum on that stochastic, but the RSI is kind of making lower lows, even though price wants to stay consistent, so that could end up forming a divergence if that pattern persists. Our momentum is starting to fall down. We have a red dot that confirmed on our last candle. We want to try and invalidate it, but our VWAP's going pretty flat. Our VWAP's going to need to get up and break through that neutral in order to give that momentum some strength. Money flow is pretty flat as well. Not very strong. It's at about 8. We haven't really gone anywhere since yesterday. Over on our Bitcoin dominance, we are getting a slight pullback currently. Our RSI is getting a red dot. Momentum is coming down. Money flow is coming out. Stochastic's very tight. It wants to kind of break. So if it does break bullish, that could help push us up and invalidate the red dot on the RSI. But if it just breaks and then falls right back over, we could see some bearish action, or if it even splits away, kind of like back here it was. Our momentum is trying to come down. It wants to try and round out, but our VWAP is struggling to get over that neutral line. Like I said, if it doesn't get over that neutral, that momentum's not going to make that curl. Our money flow is overall starting to come down, so we are seeing a little bit of bearish signals, so just keep an eye on it. Over on the daily for Bitcoin, don't know what, our Bitcoin CME, You can see we're slightly above this higher value area, so that is good for us as we made it bounce off of it. However, if we do pull back and break through it tomorrow, then we could see some further downside here. Our stochastic is starting to fall. Looks like it could push away, so just keep an eye on that. Our RSI is overall making lower highs, even though price is trying to make higher highs, so we have a slight bearish divergence trying to form. Our momentum wave looks like it's starting to round out as our VWAP is very close to that neutral and could break through at any point, so just keep an eye on that. Our money flow is falling away from the neutral and trying to push kind of sharply, so that's not too good as that means people are starting to sell off. Over on Bitcoin for the daily, we are kind of pushing down with stochastic, pretty similar to the futures. RSI has that red dot pushing us down, wants to make a little bit of a bounce though, so we'll have to see if it can kind of stay up here and our stochastic can recover. Our momentum is coming down, money flow wants to break bearish. We've kind of made 2 bounces and trying to head up, but we're just struggling to get above this 2 zone. So we're struggling to get past here and actually gain some momentum behind a move. Our momentum is starting to fall. VWAP is in the bearish territory. Overall slightly falling, so that could drag our momentum down. Over on the 4-hour, we have a little bit of a bearish cross here on stochastic, so our stochastic's pretty beat down. You look, don't have a bearish divergence, so that's good. Our money flow is somewhat kind of curling out. We keep bouncing off of this 14 area, so if we do make a bounce here, we could see some further sideways action unless we actually get some momentum here. But if the VWAP doesn't make a recovery and the momentum doesn't recover, that's not too likely to happen. Our RSI is sliding. Momentum is in the bullish territory, but it's starting to round over, so we're not looking too strong there, as our VWAP was ramping up pretty strongly, and now we're getting back close to that neutral zone, so the VWAP could break into the bearish territory if we're not too careful. Over on the 2-hour, stochastic is falling away pretty hard, so just keep an eye on that as it's starting to split away, so that could push us lower. Our RSI is starting to fall, momentum's starting to fall. We have a red dot that confirmed on the last candle, so that's not too good for us. Our money flow is very tight and kind of doesn't know where it wants to go. If it rounds under, then we could see some more sell pressure. Our VWAP is in the bearish territory, so that's dragging our momentum down. So overall, we're not too strong looking right now. Over on the 1-hour, we've made several bounces off this neutral and broke it a couple of times for the money flow. So we do have several bounces we tried to make. Stochastic is pushing away. RSI is pushing away. Overall, we're kind of forming a bearish divergence with our stochastic, so that could push us even lower. We have a manipulation X here that wants to bring us down on the 1-hour. So if that does play out, we could see further downside. RSI is pretty flat here, around a 50. So we do have that going for us. If the stochastic can make a recovery, then I won't worry too much about the RSI, but the RSI is likely to start to fall, and if it breaks the 30, we'll have bearish RSI. Our VWAP is in the bearish territory. It wants to kind of head up. We are getting lower lows, so just watch out for that, as those lower lows could push us down. Over on the daily for graph, our stochastic is starting to fall. RSI is overall starting to fall. Momentum is coming down. Our VWAP is pushing down. It is in the bearish territory and it's falling very strongly. Our money flow did make a bounce around 12, but it's struggling to get past 6, so we're kind of locked within this range. If we don't manage to break up and above it, it's likely we could reject away from it. Over on the 4-hour here, we have a bearish cross on our stochastic. RSI is starting to fall. Money flows overall still rounding out. We did get a little bit of a spike, but we are starting to fall back down. So if we do break this range right around the 7-8 zone, about 7-6, we could see some further downside. Our VWAP is falling. It's about to break that neutral zone, so if we do see that break, we could see this momentum wave get a red dot. So keep an eye on that, as that could bring us down lower. Over on the 2-hour here, stochastic's trying to make a push up. RSI is getting lower highs and pushing away. Our price is overall sliding away. We're not really making a wedge or anything. Might call this a little mini double bottom, but that wouldn't really take us too strongly up. Our momentum wants to get a bit of a curl with the green dot, so we do want to get that momentum to push up. But it looks like our VWAP is struggling to maintain bullish momentum. So if it doesn't actually break through with conviction, we could see a red dot or some downside follow suit. Our money flow is overall starting to fall. We did bounce off that neutral line twice. So we did bounce twice and maintain bullish momentum. However, we are still curling away and we could make another bounce down soon. Over on the 1 hour, stochastic is trying to push higher, RSI is trying to push higher, our money flow is in the bearish territory, so if this does lead into our higher time frames, we could see further downside. Our VWAP is in the bullish territory, so that wants to help bring our momentum up. It's getting a decent spike, but if we start to kind of stutter here, then we could see everything start to pull back, and we could see this be a rejection of a retest of our resistance. Over on Anchor for the daily, we are pushing away from that value area low still on our volume profile, so that's not too good for us. Our stochastic is still falling, our RSI is still falling, momentum is still coming down, VWAP is still breaking down. Our money flow did kind of make a bounce here after curling down, but we are kind of meeting this resistance around 5, this zone we kind of made a few bounces around. So if we do break through, we could see some bullish momentum. However, if we reject away, we may see some further downside. Over on the 4 hour, stochastic is starting to get a bit of a breakdown. RSI is overall losing strength. We did get a bit of a spike, but we're coming back down. Our money flow overall is rounding out. We did get a bit of a bounce back up, but we did reject away from that resistance around about 17, where we've had a few touches, and we're starting to fall pretty sharply. VWAP is rejecting away, and about to test that neutral line, slightly in the bearish territory if you see, so that could set us up to see some further downside as our momentum wave is getting a red dot and could start to curl back down. So we could see some further downside and test the bottom of this Fibonacci zone, at which point if we break that, we'll have to reevaluate for other lows. Over on the 2 hour, our stochastic overall is falling away. You can see price action is just sliding. Get rid of all this so we don't need all the text. Kind of get a better picture. RSI is falling down. Money flow is in the bearish territory pretty strongly here on the 2 hours. So if that does continue, which it looks like it's likely, we could see that lead into the 4 hour and drag us even lower. Our momentum did get pretty sharp rejection from that neutral as our VWAP just broke down. So if that VWAP continues downwards, our momentum could see some further downside. However, with where the VWAP is, about a 10, we have made several bounces here in the past few candles. So we could see a bounce here. If we do, then we could see a little bit of an upside swing. And then if we get a rejection, we could see this play out and bring us down kind of lower, kind of like how you see these stair steps. You don't always just get one big straight line down, so. Over on the 1 hour, stochastic is overall falling, RSI is overall falling. Our money flow did try to go bullish, but got rejected and is falling away from the neutral pretty strongly. Our VWAP is trying to curl away from the neutral, so we were coming up, but now we're kind of looking a little iffy. Our stochastic is trying to get a bullish cross. The last one got rejected, but even if we cross, that's not necessarily bullish action because we do still have bearish leaning momentum on that stochastic as we're under 30. Our RSI is falling. If it breaks the 30, then that RSI will flip bearish. Momentum's coming down, so if that rejection happens, that momentum could straighten out and come down even sharper. Over on XRP for the daily, I think I have a volume profile, there we go. We are getting a little bit of a retest of this high value area. So if we don't break through and start getting some green candles above it, it is very likely that we will come down to this point of control which is slightly under that zone that I've been warning about for about a month or so. Our RSI is overall starting to slide, stochastics getting overall lower highs. We are starting to slide. We want to make a bullish cross. We'll have to see if that can carry any weight here. Our money flow is trying to ramp up here on the daily, so we are trying to make a little bit of a bounce and overall getting higher highs. So we'll have to see if that trend can continue. VWAP is trying to press higher, so our momentum's trying to curl up, but we'll have to watch if we get rejected around this 6 zone or not, as that seems to be a decent resistance on this time frame. Over on the 4 hour, you can see we're overall just sliding away, kind of just rounded off, kind of like I warned about back here. Our stochastic is trying to ramp up, RSI is overall losing strength and starting to point back down. VWAP is overall starting to get rejected around this 14 zone, which is a pretty decent topping zone for a lot of these runs that we've had. So just be careful, as the last few that we've broken from this zone on this time frame, we've seen a pretty decent downturn. VWAP, so keep an eye on that VWAP. Our money flow is in the bullish territory, but if we don't get like strong momentum on the lower time frames to keep that going, we could see it flop back over. Our momentum wave wants to get a double green dot, but if that VWAP breaks down, we could print a red dot here and see another leg down on it. Over on the 2 hour, our stochastic is starting to get a bearish cross and could start to reject away. RSI is overall trying to head up. Our momentum's trying to come up. VWAP overall is losing strength. Money flow overall is starting to lose strength. We're getting slightly higher highs after all these bounces, so that's good for us. But we're about at 12. The last time we were at that started the downturn we had just a moment ago. So just keep your eyes on that, as if that does start to break down, we could see some further downside. Over on the 1 hour, our stochastic has a bearish divergence, starting to break down. RSI is starting to break down, momentum starting to break down with a red dot that could push us even lower. Our VWAP is in the bearish territory and could head us lower, so just keep an eye on that, as that does correlate with the momentum. And if that keeps coming down, momentum's going to keep coming out. And if momentum keeps coming out, money flow could keep coming out as well. So it all snowballs. Our RSI is starting to kind of curl away, getting kind of a rejection from this 50 zone, which is a pretty overbought zone for it. So we could see further downside. So keep an eye, especially with that stochastic losing strength here. Finally, on algo for the daily, we did try to wick back into our little channel that we had, but we did get rejected. This was our point of control that we had. I'm going to now delete this channel because it's not very relevant, as we have an established trend here. We do have this volume profile, so we did get rejected from the point of control on it. We do have a manipulation X, so that could break us even lower. That would be a retest of this value area low. For anyone that doesn't know how these volume profiles work, I also have a video on my trading indicators. I'm going to redo all those videos because a lot of them are pretty horrible, as they're when I started. Stochastic is starting to fall, RSI is starting to fall, momentum's starting to come down, VWAP is overall starting to come down. We are kind of flattening out here around a 14 though. We have made several bounces from this zone, but we can go lower, so just keep an eye, as if we start to roll over, we could see that value area low test I talked about. Money flow is overall getting higher lows. I'm trying to head back up, so that is a decent hopeful signal for us. Over on the 4 hours, stochastic starting to get a bearish cross, so that could bring us lower. RSI is right around 38, so we're just slightly above that 30 neutral. So we are kind of flattening here. Keep an eye on it. Money flow overall is coming down. We could test this neutral zone again. We did make a decent bounce, but we got rejected around this 9. Our VWAP is heading down, about to break through that neutral. If that does happen, we could see a red dot form, and then we could see this momentum start to drag us lower, and that could snowball. Over on the 2 hour, we have a manipulation X here that could bring us lower. Stochastic's overall starting to fall down. RSI is overall falling down. Momentum is breaking into the bearish territory and heading down, so we do have bearish momentum. VWAP is breaking down as well with it, so those are both in tandem. Our money flow is in the bearish territory, so since that's on the 2 hour, we could see that go to the medium 4 hour and higher daily if this does persist. So not looking too strong here on the 2 hour. Finally, on the 1 hour, our momentum overall is coming down, RSI is overall coming down, stochastic wants to make a bullish cross, money flow is rejecting away from that neutral, VWAP is trying to come up for another retest, but if we get rejected at this 1-2 area, we could get 1-2 punched down. Momentum is starting to come down, we could get a bit of a roll here, so if that does happen, that would be dependent on our VWAP crossing. That could help push us up, and we could see the money flow kind of recover, but we'll have to keep an eye on that VWAP. Thank you for watching tonight's video. I hope you have a wonderful night.